Hi, and welcome to ACCFI Presents. My name is Nina Means, Director for Austin Community College Fashion Incubator, and we're here today with Dr. Molly Beth Malcolm, the Executive Vice President for Campus Operations and Public Affairs. Welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Nina.
We are really in for a treat today because Dr. Malcolm was key in the creation of the Fashion Incubator here at the community college. So I wanted to take a little bit of time for us to get to know her just a little bit better. So Dr. Malcolm, we are really fortunate to be able to have a corner of your time today. So thank you for making time for us. You know, you're very busy.
I am, but you know how much I love the Fashion Incubator, so I was glad to do this.
Wonderful, thank you. You know, you've actually been really interested, and not just interested, but, you know, a part of doing things with the fashion industry for some time. You know, can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what kind of got you interested in the fashion industry and, you know, why this became such a passion of yours?
Well, sure, and it goes way, way back. When I was a very little girl, about 3 or 4 years old, I had a mother who loved to go shopping and an aunt who loved to go shopping. And so my cousin and I would go shopping with them. Now, I will say at 4 years old, we spent a lot of time running under all the clothes racks and getting in trouble. But mother always was a very fashionable person. And so she early on taught me to love clothes and to love fashion. And so I spent a lot of time, even as a little girl, playing with paper dolls and dressing them up, and the Barbie dolls and the beautiful costumes that they could have. And then when I was in high school, we had I grew up in a small East Texas town with 3,000 people, but we had two fabulous dress shops. One of them was called the Bandbox. And the woman who owned the Bandbox had worked for Neiman Marcus in the 50s. And now she was in this small town and wanted to bring that kind of fashion to Winsboro, Texas. And I started modeling in style shows that they would have there.
Wow.
And that was fun. And that was in high school. And then in college, I began to model at the Apparel Mart in Dallas for Mike Benet Formals, which was, by the way, a Texas company based in Pittsburgh, Texas, close to
Oh,
where I was from.
wow.
And that was fun. While I was in college at SMU, I had a key to that showroom, and the person that was over that showroom had said, anytime you need a formal for one of the events, just go get you one of those. So I had a brand new, gorgeous designer formal for every event that I went to in college. So that was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. What a great relationship. And what an incredible experience working with a showroom in Dallas.
It really was. They marked the Dallas market, particularly then, that was in the 70s, was very big. People came from all over the country. And so I modeled it in every market. And there was a group of young ladies that all worked together. And, we had the opportunity to be connected to stores from all over the country. And another fun thing about that was at the end of market, you were able to buy the samples. And for college girls, it was great to be able to buy these great designer clothes at sample prices.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think about, I had a brief stint at Dallas Market Center myself, and all of the different stores. You're right. It's like it brings people from all over the country,
Yes.
at very key times during the year. So for you to have been a part of that, I'm sure you saw all kinds of things. What whenever we're looking at how all of that experience has kind of parlayed into your interest now, even in the last 5-6 years of what it's taken to get us to where we are currently, can you tell us a little bit about that, what that process was like, and kind of parlaying that interest as a young child, and then a high schooler, then a college student, and then working with Dallas Market Center, and now bringing that to ACC?
Sure. So the way I ended up getting connected, because as you hear, I've been in public affairs and in operations at the college. So I wasn't a faculty person per se, but I have always been known as someone that liked to have nice clothes and look nice. And people would often say to me, I never see you wear jeans. And then I would, have on pants or something. They'd say, you never dress down. And I just, that's probably true. I just enjoy clothes, enjoy fashion, have read the magazines, looked through all of those, through the years as well. And so when there was a conversation that was starting in Austin about possibly having a fashion incubator, Dr. Rhodes did say, I know that's your thing. And so I was sent over there to work on it. And then Mike Midgley, who's the vice president of instruction, worked with me. I was kind of the fashion end of it. And he was, here's how we put programs together to make things work. So I guess the conversations first started in 2015 with people in the community. And then in 2016, we were talking about signing an interlocal agreement with the city of Austin. And the city of Austin approached us about starting the Fashion Incubator because they know that's what we do. I always say community college is the workforce workhorse of the area.
Absolutely.
And so we absolutely are. And they know that we're nimble, that we can turn on a dime, and that we can create things. So in conversations with them, we were beginning to look at starting this, getting to this interlocal agreement. And we took a trip to Dallas Community College, which had a fashion program, looked around there, visited a company that used the Gerber equipment that we are now using, and looked at that. We came back and ultimately did enter an interlocal agreement with the city of Austin in 2016. Okay, now we've entered that interlocal agreement. Now what do we do? So in 2017, we went to New York City. I had a friend, Jennifer Mankins, who's a designer, owns Bird.
Yes, I remember you mentioned her.
Yes, yes. Her mother and I are dear friends. She's from Texarkana, where I lived most of my adult life. And so it was really, I had no background in this other than loving clothes and loving the magazines and wanting this to be successful. But I knew somebody that could help us. So we called Jennifer. She set up an unbelievable tour for us, 3 or 4 days in New York, making sure that we met small designers in larger areas. We went to some of the incubators there. We toured some of the, in fact, I can't think what it was right now, but there was a great fashion exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum.
Yes, at the Met.
Yes. And so we made that part of our tour. But it was while we were there in New York, and as we're listening to each one of these people and learning, that Mike and I both looked at each other and said, we've got to hire somebody. We are beyond what we can do at this point. And that's when we got the job description, had a lot of local people involved. They're in the fashion industry. And that's when you were hired to be the Fashion Incubator director. Then I guess the next year in 2018.
Yep, 2018 is when we got started.
Yep. So that's kind of how the background started. Now, did I answer? Or
yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I think that it's so important for us to really just set the stage. A lot of people are new to this area and are kind of seeing the Fashion Incubator for the first time, but they're not really sure, where it came from or what some of the initiatives are, and or how it even got here. And so it's so key for us to tell that story, of the people who are involved. You, Dr. Malcolm, and Mike Midgley, and the city of Austin, and all of the work that was had gone into actually creating the Fashion Incubator. So we definitely want to make sure that those stories are amplified so that we're able to share how this ecosystem is really coming to be. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer,
yes.
About the beginnings of, really what I think is going to really help catalyze our industry.
Oh, and I agree with that. I think, when you look at what we did, number one, the community college, Austin Community College, loves to partner on things. And so being able to partner with the city of Austin, and the city of Austin in 2015, I believe, it may have been 2014, had done a study, and they had discovered that there were hundreds of designers in Austin. They knew how to make a product, but they did not know how to get it to market. And so that's where I think the concept came from, through the city of Austin, that they needed to look at this. And of course, they approached us as we do all the workforce things. And the other thing, though, that we brought was not just the fact that we could provide a space for this and we could have an interlocal agreement, but the commitment of faculty and human resources to this program. And as you know, not only did we do those things and did we start the Fashion Incubator and hire you to be over that, we started a fashion design program for credit, which we had not had. We had some CE courses, but not fashion design credit. And all those things are important because you start with, and this is how most programs start in a community college. You start in the CE, the continuing education area, and then that develops. There's enough interest that suddenly you have a program that is for credit. And for us, it would be a program that then would be able to transfer to a university for a 4-year degree, or maybe they don't need that 4-year degree. So what we want is for ACC to become the place people know they can come learn about fashion, and then they're going to have one step up to being able to enter as one of the designers in the Fashion Incubator.
Absolutely. We love that. And I love the continuity of the story. I think it's so important for people to understand that, there was a lot of groundwork laid in the continuing education department, and, being able to prove that people are really coming to ACC to take fashion classes.
Right.
They had, huge success with bringing in a lot of students for the CE courses, and really proved the need for the associate degree. So we don't take that lightly. We know that there was a lot of work that went in to make that happen.
So that's been fun, and there's been a lot of people involved and enjoy all the work and the things that have been accomplished and will continue to be accomplished.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to a really exciting year. We've got a lot of realignment and some things that we're really wanting to engage deeper across the college with the incubator. There's so many wonderful resources. So, our first stop is really to kind of start where it all started, and get plugged in, get reconnected, because it's so key for us to be able to share what has really come about because of cross-disciplinary collaboration. It's really been across the board.
Absolutely. And because we want to fill community workforce needs and then reach more local people and help give them the skills they need to be able to continue in good jobs and stay in this community and build a stronger Austin.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better. I'm really glad that you started to bring up some of the questions about the community. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that now because, whenever we were looking at the different elements of things that the incubator could provide, small business support, development, workforce development, introducing technology to manufacturers, how do you see the incubator kind of answering some of the needs, of our local community? How does ACC meet some of those needs of our local community?
Well, again, one of the things when we start a new program, we don't start a new program just to start a new program. There needs to be a workforce need. And as I mentioned, the study that the city had done had seen there was a workforce need. We had more and more companies that were moving here that needed people that knew how to sew appropriately even. And so what ACC then has been able to do is start bringing those people together, helping them get the skills they need. I mean, some of the courses that we teach, as you know, are even how to use the Gerber technology. So it brings in people at different levels. It's not all about being a fashion designer. It's about how do we have the people that can sew these items and get them the way they need to be. So ACC was excited to be a part of that and help build on an ecosystem. New York has been the place for fashion, and even I guess LA, San Francisco, San Diego, those areas. And I look at this and go, we're right in the middle of the United States. And with things changing as much as they had, why can't the next fashion hub be in Austin, Texas? And with things that have changed so much with how buttons are delivered and zippers or fabric or anything, you can order it and get it. I know.
You're so right.
Yes, when we were in New York, they mentioned, of course, New York grew because the whole industry grew around the areas where they were. You could walk out of your showroom, go 2 doors down and buy your zippers or your buttons or your trim or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, that's moving out of downtown New York because of cost and a lot of other reasons. And so again, okay, we've got a lot of wide open space in Texas too, so we can begin to build this ecosystem. You're going to get your deliveries from whatever group brings them, and we can make Austin the fashion hub.
I love that. I love that. And I share that vision with you. You know, we've really seen so much change in the last few years. So many more people moving to Austin, so many more businesses moving to Austin. I mean, every time I look up, there's like another, firm or another company or
Oh,
another
yes.
business that's anchoring this area. So it's very exciting.
It is, and they're going to continue to come because it is a great place. And the fashion industry is not just fashion by itself, it brings in technology, as you've mentioned. All the different pieces come together here.